ETN podcast with Chris Gorman. We will hit the ground running this time around and get right into it. I will start off by going around the room and introduce everyone. I am Mike Extra S from Electronium 101. I actually forgot to introduce myself last time, but this time around, hello. All right. Also joining us is Mick Ambrose from All About Tech. Welcome, Mick.
Thank you very much for having me back.
Our pleasure, man. Sean Davis here again from Crypto for the People. Welcome, Sean.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be on. Nice to see everybody.
And I'm sure everyone's noticed a new face this time in the room. I would like to welcome Truthful Rob to the panel. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. Hey, everyone.
What's up?
All right.
Hey!
Hey, Rob.
Hello.
And of course, we have our keynote speaker, Sir Chris Gorman, OBE, Director of Electronium. Thank you for joining us again, Chris.
Thank you. I wasn't sure whether I'd be invited back again after my very rapid speech from the last time, which I think it's worth saying that yes, I do speak quickly, but even more so when I thought it was going to be a typed panel. So I found out about 10 minutes before. But listen, thanks for bringing me back in. We didn't quite finish last time, and I'm definitely going to try and speak a little slower, a little bit more thoughtful. Not like a Geordie.
That's awesome. All right, so in this episode, we're going to talk about the ETN ecosystem. I don't really think everyone fully understands what the ETN ecosystem really means when we're talking about Electronium. Chris, can you start off by describing what the Electronium ecosystem is and how it applies to everything the team is currently working on?
Okay, I think first of all, let me just talk a little bit about ecosystems, and I don't have the proper terminology, so don't shoot me. But ecosystems effectively are about creating a collaboration between different businesses or different groups of people that all benefit. And a great example is Uber's an ecosystem, and many businesses we're seeing now whereby you're creating, there's a group of workers, there's cars, there's customers, and everything starts coming together, and then you'll have deliveries will go on top of that. So the business grows because there's many facets of it, and it can grow into other areas. It can be, as I say, in the likes of an Uber. It started doing deliveries, it started doing other services, etc. So with Electronium, there's a reason for an ecosystem. Find that money does not sit by itself. Money flows. It's so there has to be an ecosystem for money, because you don't just take it and it sits there. At the moment, a lot of digital money, people get it or they buy it and then they transfer it to somebody else and it goes back out again. So it's still a small ecosystem. What we're looking at is much more about being a circulatory ecosystem whereby somebody is able to get it in the hands to begin with, and one of the most important things for anybody to adapt to change or to want to use something is they've got to try it, they've got to sample it. So getting it in the hands, being and being able to use it, but we know people, and it is so important. People will cut out coupons still out of newspapers to go and get a discount. So if there's a value, all over the world, and that's not just in developing territories. Coupons are still a big business in America. It's still something people will use and collect, because we all want a deal. We all want something a little bit more. We all want to save a bit or earn a bit more, or feel that we've managed to do a bit better, and therefore having that constant coming into your phone and into your pocket. But then what do you do with it then? And that's why what we decided to do with Electronium from an early stage was to say, okay, we need to build the other bits to let's the ETN flow like money, because everything we do has got to feel like money. It's got to feel that it's a bit more of what you want anyway. So hence the reason we then have the instant payment, so the vendors can benefit. And again, I'll go back to developing territories, and if we start putting liquidity of ETN into a region, then there's an entrepreneurial community that will work a damn sight harder than most of us around there on this. Well, maybe it's not you, Sean. I know you work very hard, but they'll work a damn sight harder, in ways of getting hold of a little bit of that. So you then have that part, and then you say, well, it's still going to come out of there somewhere. It's still going to go back into an exchange. And, you know, in order for these ecosystems to thrive, to be sustainable, you know, you want to try and keep as much of it circulating as possible. So that's when then you start thinking about the gig economy, and you know, because money stays within the system if they can earn it. Because all I've got is time. I want to earn. So now I can earn some of it. It's not just a reward. So now it starts growing in its usefulness, and more people want to take it, and that's the reason that you know we build, you know, the basic blocks of an ecosystem, which still can integrate with banks, can integrate with you know, can integrate with other fintech products. You know, we want to be able to, and we're talking to at the moment, microloan companies for microloans, for savings, for insurances, because you know, if we've got a user, the KYC, they're getting some ETN every month, then actually they're an attractive customer to others. Now, we want to make sure it's the right people, but we also don't want to put a barrier. So the more open that is, the more it flows, and certainly there's what this has done tremendously, and these take some time, but what this has done tremendously is, you know, some of the conversations that we in Africa, for example, we're talking to churches, and churches down there are very, very powerful. You know, they have such a passionate congregation, and you know, there's a lot of money gets moved around in remittance. So all of a sudden, you've got something that actually can be involved with with insurance for, you know, the churches get very involved. You know, savings because they don't trust the bank. So it having that ecosystem creates multiple entry points. You know, that enable us to start talking to different people, and we're getting some really wacky calls these days. So, well, can I come? You know, I see you do that. I'd like to talk to you about that. So, but you're gonna, and we'll go in a little bit more deeply, but you know, because it has a real benefit to the user and to each of our partners. So I explain it well enough, guys.
That was a good explanation. Yeah.
It probably isn't the Oxford English Dictionary explanation of it, but the basics are there. It's about, you know, ecosystems are from nature, and they're about self-sustaining. You know, how organisms and plants and everything kind of create this ecology of life. So
I think you've got it shows like the link between the benefits from the vendors all the way down to the person mobile mining.
yeah,
So you
and it again, you know, what I think I said in the last session, you know, we will succeed because we were driven by, you know, how we bring benefits to each and every group that we look at. Some people call them stakeholders, some people call them partners, whatever you call them. You know, in order for this to work, and again, especially in you know, towards financial inclusion, then it's important that the user gets a real benefit. It feels natural; they get a benefit, but that also has got to pass into a benefit for whoever's supplying them, whoever's working with them, whoever's, you know, so that mobile operator. Um, and what you then create is, you know, an ecosystem which is a geographic one. Now, we haven't seen in this industry yet what these mini geographic ecosystems, where a lot of people only have a few, you know, a few dollars worth. They're not. It's not the current exchanges as we know them, but at the moment, it's all about agent networks who sell airtime. You know, they sometimes sell airtime as a currency and things, and so you know, it's working with them and understanding, and there's some really, really great benefits. I think in one of the documents, one of the articles I put on LinkedIn, I talk about the agent networks, and you know, there's some real the agents are actually, it's a pretty tough life there, because you've got to go and buy your cards. You're taking money on a long journey. You've got to sell them before you can get more, and so if we can create a virtual aspect of that, that helps them. So, but you're right. It is about you know, making sure we try keep on tweaking so that there's a benefit in every part of it. And it's interesting. You know, we've got Rob on, right, and you know, Philippines with the what's the currency there,
Philippine peso.
yeah, and there's a digital one, which is what's it called again? There's a digital card that you could use it's quite common in Philippines.
Like a load card, or
No, just it's a digital currency. You can use it at shops and things. I can't remember. It's not something PH coin. is it CoinPH or something like that?
Oh, coins.ph.
Yeah, coins.ph. Yeah, which
I use
is
that. Yeah. I love it.
and so there you see, you know, a real acceptance of something that is easier. So, and it shows, you know, it's because it's really the local currency in a wallet, isn't it, in a digital form for. So it and what you're seeing there is the amount of players to take CoinsPage because it's safer. It's not going to be taken off me the same way. I don't have to have a credit card. I don't have to, so it's easily accessible as an alternative. But it feels like money to these people.
It's much faster too.
Yeah,
more convenient. I love using it.
Do they accept it everywhere, Rob? They accept it everywhere. Like a lot of places have it.
The coins. It's an app, and you can load it in any payment center all around the Philippines. There's thousands.
Yeah.
With fiat.
Yeah, with fiat.
It's the local currency, but you look at something like the Philippines and you say, well, actually, you know, everyone wants that little bit more money. There's an acceptance of a digital currency. We're coming in from a regulated point of view. We're not an alternative currency. We're an additive. It's about helping that domestic marketplace, about being able to earn a lot more. Interestingly, Philippines, I think, have got 6 or 7 different initiatives for freelancers. You know, the government there have been trying to help freelance organisations to bring in digital work into the country. So all of a sudden, we start ticking a lot of the boxes, and we sit alongside. But you know, there's an acceptance already of something. It's much easier to add to that.
Now, a major part of that, like we just talked about, that plan that whatever the Philippine digital money is using, is it seems like, and Electronium's gone there. We have Liquidity, which is fiat pairing, but it seems like what you're describing there is even another step where they're taking cash and they're bringing it in and they're getting, they're sending money, and then on the other side, the person's receiving the money in cash, right? Or they can real easily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How close, is there, and I know one of the major things for ETN is the liquidity. It's awesome we have pairs and all that. Do you see in the future having that type of liquidity where people literally can just like come in with cash or credit card?
Absolutely. You know, I'm going to go a bit off topic, but I touched on it last time. You know, from the real world, from the corporate partnerships, from some of the things that you guys know that we're discussing. I really understand how corporates work. I understand how they fit together. I understand how values driven, and I still can't get my head around this marketplace. When I look, as I said last time, this is the most common question I get off some of the partners. So we're working in. I'll give you an example that there's a company in South Africa, and one of the big things with South Africa is that a lot of people in Malawi and Zambia who actually send money back. They'll go and work, but they send money back in. Sorry, they come from Malawi or Zambia into South Africa, send money back. So there's a three country plan that we're working on there, which is just with one organisation, and these things, as I'm sure you understand, take a little bit of time. They're not the fastest, but the conversation we were having the other day is talking about the existing coins there, and they came to us and said they can't understand that mobile operators can't understand why we just about every metric. I think last time we sit in the top 10. They look at us and they say even so. I was after the video that went out this morning. Somebody looked further at the Alexa stats that I'd mentioned, and they said, "But hang on, I've looked further, and actually, all your traffic goes to you. Your keywords are more valuable. It's more than just your position. You've got a real your customer metrics are really tick the box. Your bounce rate is low. So everything actually says you're way out there in terms of your customers. It's one of the most telling things. And isn't it interesting in the industry? The traffic, the Alexa traffic was such a big thing for exchanges. People were saying it's not true. They can't have that. They don't have that traffic. It's false numbers because they haven't got the Alexa traffic. So we've got the Alexa traffic, but we don't seem to be benefiting at all from it. But number 4, out of all cryptos, which proves if you take the same argument that was used for exchanges, put it with us, and you'd say, well, there's something not right there. They can't have that much engaged traffic month after month after month, and be where they are. And it's something I more regularly deal with. People just can't understand, the way that the way that we're perceived in the marketplace. And look, we're starting to understand it because we do things differently. And I'll talk a bit more about that. We don't fit the perfect expectations. So, and actually, I'll tell you later on, but I'm doing an article for LinkedIn at the moment, which will be interesting because it compares to the dot-com boom a little bit. So, which I'm old enough to have been there at that stage as well. So, I met Jeff Bezos when he had very little. So, I probably did I answer the question? I did go off a little.
No, I think you did. And I'm just thinking. I'm thinking back to that Medium article that I published in late September when we're talking about the ecosystem. And I remember when I was doing a lot of this research and I was looking at how people kind of describe the whole system, from the gig economy to how the money circulates and how it goes to the agents. And I was reading a whole bunch of articles that just kind of showed statistics on how much of that money stays in the ecosystem versus what gets sent back out to fiat, and just thinking about how that money circulates through the system. And as you think about it, as more and more money enters this system, it just exponentially starts to grow as far as more people come in, more money circulating. And that alone, if you look at it, outside entrepreneurs might look at that system and go, look at all this money, we want a piece of this action. How can they get involved to start building additional businesses on top of that? And that's where the API comes in, and all these vendors who can now start accepting Electronium. So they start building all these sites, and little by little, this is a snowball effect where it starts to grow. You know what I mean? And there's so much potential there.
And again, if I take a step back, and we've been on a mission, to do something that we believe, is the right thing to do. Is taking, I suppose in some ways, it's taking the concept of blockchain and saying, actually, that was one for privacy, for full decentralization. This one over here this is actually going to make a difference to people's lives, and which is what we focus on. But you can only do that, and if you give them that ability to use it, because and there is a little bit of that at the moment. But giving them the ability to use it, giving the places they can spend it, where they get benefits from it, and you will see in the future, there'll be other member benefits that we may bring out at some stage of within our community, and our very responsive community, so that Electronia means something, and so having. And the more that we, as you mentioned, those APIs, that having that pathway, and having, the ability for multiple different ways of benefiting is important to us, because it's important to our users. And here's an interesting thing. And we talked about this. We've talked a few times. We've talked about the fact that, hey, you know what? There's not that many people who have a product launched in the marketplace. There's very few who have a number of an ecosystem or a number of products, and actually, the industry is going through an interesting, challenging time. We are fortunate that we've locked in some of the most important aspects from some key partners, and through to having that funding in place, having the coming on early on regulation, and what's going to really start shining through for us is, yes, we haven't added all the additional, we haven't gone more and more in tech, but we've gone more and more than anyone in something that actually creates a sustainability. Remember, even in terms of financial inclusion, the unbanked in the world, 50% of them over the last couple of years have stopped using whatever the bank account or whatever access they've given within 3 months. And that's because the only thing they're getting is maybe a mobile money or on Weibo. So the only thing I can do is I can transfer money from one person to another. I don't need to transfer money. So what do? I actually just I need to be paid. I need to be able to shop with this. I don't need to transfer. So the cash in, cash out, the ability just to do digital transfers is not enough. And we've seen that. If you look at the more recent reports from World Bank Group, etc., there is a slowdown in the actual usage. You look at the mobile GSMA, so it needs to be more than just a tick in a box. It needs to be something that people. It doesn't matter, where you are in this world. If it's not going to be useful, you're not going to use it. It's not going to be suddenly, hey, thank you, you've given me an account. It needs to make a difference to them. And more than anything, and that's where freelance, rewarding them, and helps that domestic economy, giving them the ability to earn themselves, to to work out the poverty. That's special, and that's the bit that I think I could never have imagined what the community's done, and we have these great plans. I never thought we were going to have, this community so powerful, so strong, so committed, so proud to be part of this, because the bigger that community grows, the more that there's a balance without the industrialized nations even having to do anything different. It's not about you having to give money to charity, which we are going to be talking about tonight. Actually, well, remember, it's actually just you using ETN, grows the whole grows the whole usage case, grows the whole demand, which means it's benefiting the those people who need it most, which means we can put more into it, we can drive more into those economies, and so and that becomes such a big thing. And then also, as one community, being able to drive digital work and other things through the freelance, you've got that double whammy. And just by you guys benefiting, or us, I'm saying you guys, then the people in developing territories benefit. That is so important, and it's such a unique. And I couldn't, if you'd asked me a year ago, I would never have said we'd have 2.5 million people now, and we've got them in the right place now, so that we can drive. But as we launch, as we learn, and we'll keep on getting things wrong. We'll keep, but we'll put them right fast, very, very fast, and that's but the ability, to bring these two things together. It's three things. It's what's happening with blockchain, the fact that it emits some value, the fact that we have a way of getting that to the right people, the fact that we've got a community growing like this that lets us drive that. It would have been very difficult to plan it to have planned it to come together so well as we have now.
That is really really insightful. Like, I just want to go back to the circulatory side of it, because it's something that was that I think a lot of us touched upon on our channels a few months ago, when we started to see that picture come together of actually, like you said, it's not just about transferring it peer to peer. You have to be able to spend it, you have to be able to use it for different reasons, and if you create that money velocity, that in itself creates so much value, because it's a supply and demand. There's
and
all that. Yeah, exactly.
Really becomes big.
Yeah, and then that way, we'll have like loads of liquidity, but at the same time, loads of the liquidity is going to be available everywhere else.
Thank you. That's where we started. Liquidity. I'm gonna be excited.
But yeah, it's literally just like, because it's that supply and demand, because of all that liquidity out there, that in itself creates value.
I've just thought of something I want to throw at you guys. As I said to you, at times it baffles me, because I know how businesses work. I think there was a comment on one of the videos saying, "Oh, he's done 80 deals with others. Why can't he do one for Electronium?" We've got a lot of deals done, so don't worry. It's about making sure that they're right, and we'll end up doing a lot more than 80 in Electronium. But it baffles me, at this moment in time, when you actually start looking at what we've got. We clearly aren't getting that out there. Is it that it's just so far removed? Is it that it's just not a crypto? I can't understand why. We've got such wonderful support with such people putting so much effort in, people offering to do so much, and one of the things we want to do is give much greater empowerment to our communities in developing countries. But what is it that doesn't seem to stack up for people outside that? Is because when you look at it, I mean, especially today, especially against, I made the comment earlier on about the .com, and it really is interesting. Bezos, now the most successful business in the world. I remember standing there about 2 months before the .com crash. I think it was the first Tuesday meeting, where all the guys who'd floated the companies, who were all fighting between each other, stopping each other from getting anywhere. The focus was all on this bitterness of, and there was a whole like 2 hours spent on people pulling apart the font that Amazon were using in the website and saying there is no way. There was a vote. There's no way that they're going to succeed more than end of the year if they don't learn how to do decent fonts. I mean, and this is from some really smart people. But this kind of, you don't want anyone else to do well. It's all about delivering more tech, and and Bezos had a brilliant thing at that stage, which it really does resonate with me at the moment. Is everyone talks about what's next, what's the next big thing, what's the I've got the next big thing, and now I just need the customer, and he said at the time, don't focus on the next big thing, focus on what you have now, focus on what's not going to change, and his statement at that stage was our customers want a better price, they want fast delivery, and they want vast choice, and that's what he did. They didn't care about the tech, they didn't care about the font, they cared about what mattered to them. And part of me says, and I really, really believe we're on the right track here. Having gone through that .com, 99% of the companies, focused on the 1% who wanted everything. 1% of the companies, I think 6 companies came out of that period, and look, one of them's become the world's biggest. So it certainly made them resilient, and learned a lot through that process. But in the same way, what does the customer really want out there in the marketplace? Number one, everyone wants a bit more money. They want a bit more to spend. They want a bit, even those who don't care about money, it's still nice to have a bit more. Secondly, it's money. It's got to feel like money. It's got to act like money. We actually, in some ways, we get obsessive about instant payments. If instant payment wasn't there, we did it because if it's not there, then the customer's not going to use it. People in the mainstream aren't going to use it. They're not going to wait 5 minutes. So to them, it's expected. It actually get excited and say, "Yeah, we got instant payment working." They go, "So what? I've got this card, that card. I'm using instant pay. I've had instant payment my whole life." So we get a bit excited about that. But so it's got to feel like money. It's got to be useful like money. It's got to benefit me like money. People don't want to change. And the third thing is they want to feel safe and secure. They don't want to feel. There's an interesting thing, and again, so many conversations going on. The security, safe and secure, is important. Safe that I'm not going to lose my money. I'm not getting ripped off. And I think we tick that box with the mainstream. We still, nobody in the real world ever says scam or anything. It's only in the crypto world we get that. But and not off the people that were that are close to us. But I never thought about we've touched on KYC a few times, and we've touched on embracing government and regulation, and some people don't like it, but it's interesting. I spoke to somebody, in one of the developing countries, and I was talking about how is it going to feel. And now this country is actually bringing biometric testing in. They've got half the nation's in poverty, but for anything, for your phone, for a card, for anything, you want biometric testing. And I said, how will people take it? He said they will love it. He said they would even like to see the government taxing it. Why? He said because they're scared of the government, and if the government are not involved, if the government haven't approved it, if the government aren't taking a little bit of money out of it, then maybe it's illegal. And if something's illegal, I might not go home next Friday when I walk out of work, because that's how this government operates. And they live a different life, and you think actually, people are so fearful of what could happen, and they wouldn't touch. So a lot of those people would not touch something that, and literally it was quite strong saying, we would. Is the government taxing this? Because if they're not taxing it, they'll hurt us at some stage. So we've got to think about those things in these territories. We've got to listen to those people, and it isn't just about racing something out there. It is about working for something. We want to do an M-Pesa. We want to be a Coins PH. That's about making sure you've got all those, back to that ecosystem, all those right relationships in place that locks it in. Fiat makes sense because there are enough people involved in it that they're not going to let it fall over. That's all Fiat is. There's no gold standard. It's just it's not really government, it's corporates who sit behind a lot of it. So the impact on their business if it falls over. and that's what we're starting to do with everything. So
I think
I'm
you're
probably going off
creating
topic.
longevity.
Sorry?
I think you're creating longevity with the decisions that you're making. You're not taking, because there are cryptocurrencies that are taking shortcuts as such just to get to the end user faster.
Yeah.
But governments, like you said, if they're not taxing it, they're not making money out of it, which that means, are they going to allow people to use it? Probably not.
Yeah. And look, it's not about taxing it at the moment. It's about it's about embracing and regulating. It's about being able to be, seen as a benefit. And any government that's looking at the moment in terms of the legislating and legalizing, then we're starting the conversation.
It's pretty much how the world works. You guys work backwards. You go, this is how money is sent. How can we use blockchain and tech together and work backwards from there? And pretty much you said, okay, you need regulation. It needs to be simple. It needs to feel like money, like you said. That's pretty much what it comes down. It's pretty simple, actually, when you think about it.
And look, there are plenty of people. I'm not going to sit here and argue that I'm right and someone else is wrong about the fact that it will take over. It'll take over field. Maybe it will. But if it does, we're still okay. If it doesn't, we're still okay. Because, for either way, yes, we might not be as popular for a while with some, but we'll be damn more popular than anyone else with that 99% as it starts becoming more important.
Yeah. Well, you guys have become a category of one. There's this clear separation now. If you take a look, we have easy to download app, so it's easy to get, easy to use. We earn rewards. But we comply with money laws around the world in different countries. Who else can say that? I don't know if one or two can, maybe, but who else has instant payment? Who else has liquidity?
I'm going to make you laugh.
When you put it all together,
absolutely,
it's a category of one, and then there's 1,999 other coins that don't meet those standards.
Absolutely. Look, at the beginning of the year, when we started talking about financial inclusion, it wasn't important to people. Now it's on every white paper. It's a payment. Everyone's starting to talk about how their payment is instant. Me and Richard were talking the other day. We've got something that we're looking at that could be really quite smart. We said we're going to put it on the website, on the roadmap, and we're going to start ticking the box for everyone else who copies us. When did they announce they're doing the same thing? Because that's what it's like. It's. We get lots of criticism, then we get people following. It's quite surreal at times. but you're absolutely right, Sean. It's and that's what we're not trying to be a category one, but we are so focused and so obsessive about delivering what the user wants, what the corporate wants, what even the regulatory regime does, and that is what will get us different to everyone else. Not everyone's out there with a team. You've seen us. We'll take the crap. We'll take the beatings. But we'll still get up there and walk out. We'll do the next deal. We'll do the next deal because it doesn't matter. We know what we're doing.
It shows that you're giving a lot of respect for the entire world as such, and being really professional about it, not just cutting corners and leaving people out.
And you know what? The fact that we have never once, for everything that's happened, we've never once gone out and criticised, which we haven't. We never will. Because it's not a way, but we've got a job that actually has got so much respect, from the outside world saying, look, and even our community gets criticised sometimes for being, straight in there, defensive and everything. But you know what? I'd rather have a community that's defending its passionate belief in the fact that we're doing something that's going to make a difference to people. And the only people that get hurt when we get attacked is actually slowing down the people who really matter in this world that we can do something for. But we don't get accused of going out and attacking other people. So, so the community I'm proud of. Because, they defend. I'm not going to tell them to stop defending, because we're on a mission. But at the same time, it's a community that listen, I get beaten up sometimes, especially when I talk fast. And that was a joke, by the way. I watched the video back, as you guys know, and I went, oh, can't let that go. It's terrible. Because of my fast talking. And I know I've gone fast again tonight. I'm trying to slow it down a bit.
I think
I'm going to give you one.
Everybody likes to see the real thing, I think people want to see, that's the thing. People want to see authenticity, and it's good to see. I got one question that I had saved. I was going to ask. So I'm sorry. It was with KYC. Now, how tough of a decision was that to make? Because I'm sure that, I mean, even me, I was like, what? We're going KYC. And then when I figured it all out, I was really excited about it. But first I had that initial like, huh? And then, so that's number one, how tough of a decision was it? And number two, how much of an advantage? We know you're the deal maker.
Yeah.
And so you've done a bunch of deals in the market. You're experiencing these deals. How much of an advantage does Electroneum have now that they comply with law, or when they're finished with KYC, complying with laws compared to other things that are out there?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we kind of we started at the early part of the year talking to. I think we had a conversation with Gibraltar, and we were listening to what they were doing with what's happening. Then we started to, the reason we went after Liquid very early on was we recognised, and they're still only on part of their journey. They're like us, right? They're going to be so powerful in this world, as because they do it right. They care about all the users. They don't get stressed about. There are things that could launch now and upset other people, but or improve the business, but they won't do it because it's not right. You see what's coming out of the US at the moment, and they could have been, a lot of people frustrated at them because they won't take US customers on, and and because they don't have the right licenses, and they said themselves, we're not going to do that because it'll catch us. So part of I must admit, Seth and the guys there, they were really helpful in those early stages because they spent a lot of time going through with us of why it was so important. They were the first exchange regulators in the world. So they held our hand a little bit in some of that, and then we started speaking to more and more different organisations. Then we talking to some of the NGOs and charities. But don't let me forget about charity. Don't let me forget about charity, Mike. So NGOs and charities, and it was becoming quite obvious this is going to have to happen, right? So, and it was at the same time as obviously doing some of the upgrades. And so we started the process, and Richard, God love him, I mean, he was absolutely adamant. We sat and talked about it, about when and everything. He said, look, it's the right thing to do for the people. We've just got to get out there. We're not going to dress it up. We've got to tell them, right? Like anything, there was a few more complications, and so it's taken a bit longer because, again, no one's done it, and we do. Here's a challenge. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Most companies would take 6 to 8 months to implement that. We try to do it in 2 months because everyone wants us to move fast, and then we're going to do it in 3-4 months. And actually, the good thing, I'll tell you what's good sometimes about us pushing ourselves into those corners, and some people look and say, "Will you stop saying that? Will you stop doing that?" You know what? It pushes us into finding a better solution, right? If we give ourselves 6 months, we just do it like everyone else. Give ourselves 2-3 months. We'll come back with a bit. It came out the other night, which we're looking at various different ways of making sure that we, people in any territory will be able to. The KYC is not going to be an issue to genuine people. We're doing a very simplified version to know it's a real individual for mining, etc. But the advantage is massive, and you can't underestimate it. And it's we are. There are some very high quality exchanges that we've started the conversation with. No, that's not overnight. Don't people go start getting jumping up and down. But these conversations are because we're getting a lot of respect from everyone now, because we're making the tough decisions. We're driving it through. We're thinking about everything that has to happen. We're thinking about the custodial of the coins. How there are certain things we have to do when institutions come in. There's certain things we're going to have to do with other governments. We're now trying to work through. We've been talking to a number of companies about volatility for the retailer and how we can solve that. And there are ways you can do that. And so because we're looking at it properly, because we're looking at it sensibly, because we've been here and run business before, we understand the need. That starts opening up a lot of different doors. They stop believing the things, the false realities that they see out there. And look, we haven't got to clean everything down. People can say what they want because we know when the time's right, we can deal with the right thing. We're not going to get upset. I've certainly learned how to be much more thick-skinned in this industry than I ever was in life. It doesn't bother me what I read anymore. But it's difficult to describe apart from what I would say is that you look from the outside, and how many points, again, that the connection with where we seem to sit with people's minds to the reality of what's happening hasn't come together, because there's all these. I read article after article about, or the reason there's, the part of these challenges is they're not, it's not ready for users. They're facing regulatory challenges, and we're saying, hey, come here. What are you talking about? We've done it. You read these articles about the whole industry. Nobody's ready for regulatory. Nobody's ready for the user. The user, and we're saying, hey, what about us? It's true though. It amazes me sometimes. I mean, I read. Sometimes we have a great article written about this, but it's actually not quite accurate in terms of, it's lovely, but they've got so many things not quite right. It's, but that'll come with time. We, like anything, it comes out of it. But I think we've passed that bridge with our with our community, and those who know, they know. It's, they know firsthand. I think we just need to continue letting that grow, and it will grow.
Well said.
It's all about just taking each day as it comes, isn't it? Challenges come,
Yeah.
And it's about getting past each challenge.
But the more
Evolving.
we lock our partners in, the more we ensure we've got the revenue, the more we're attractive to you, to regulators, the more we start continue the conversations with. I'm going to talk charity in a minute. With NGOs, then the more that actually we get more and more secure. Now, we can't say whether that means we're going to be flying in 3 months or flying in 6 months or 9. But it will be. There's nothing in our way ahead of us that we can't see a way around, right? That we can't. That we, there's always things. The world can go mad and blow, but in terms of what we're doing, the way we're doing things, we can see. We're constantly looking. Now, what we can't determine is the speed of certain things. It's going faster than I would have ever imagined. To get to this level of users, I mean, there are very few unicorns in this world who've actually got this level of, have got this closeness, have got this, what we're doing tonight. People who are so willingly given the time, so passionate about what we're going to do and what we're doing. It's incredible, it's one of the drivers for me that keeps me going. I don't want to let people down who've given us so much. So we've got all those things in place. And that in itself is what is will drive us through again, and we won't give up on that. So we will constantly make sure that we're doing, we're delivering something that's really, that makes our community proud and makes our partners, our users happy.
At the end of the day, you guys are the professionals, not everyone saying when this, when that, when this, when that. So.
But we listen, and we respond when we can. We can't always respond to everything. There's lots of things I'd love to discuss, but we get a pat on the back and we did upsetting partner. So we've got to do those things at the right time. Charity, we are also. There's been a lot of comments about charities and should we do charity. So we're putting together a program. It'll probably be in January launch, but we've started talking to some of the very large charities who really make an impact in financial inclusion. We're looking at trying to do a charity every 1 or 2 months that we work with. They tell our community about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and then it'll be people's choice. So we'll end up with maybe half a dozen charities over the year that people can if they want to. A lot of people want to donate the coins of the mining, because to them it's they feel it's a great thing to do, and therefore the charities it's great for. It opens up other things, part of that ecosystem again, because those charities will be helping in some of the areas that we're really focused on. So I know there's been a lot of questions. We are working on a program that will allow the charity to promote, to come and kind of present themselves and let you guys listen to them and take it from there. But we'll manage it so you're not going to get hit by every 3 charities a day. It's not like that, We'll be looking for some of the team to kind of almost help work with us in terms of shortlisting, taking them through a process so that people get a real chance. And some people, one of the guys in the office said, "This is brilliant. I'd like to send my son for his gap year." over the money of these charities. You know, so there's so many things can grow out of that as well, because we'll have users in those areas. You know, so he wanted to send his son on his gap year over to I'm not going to say the country. Nearly said it. I'm not going to say it. I was going to send him over to a country for his gap year with a charity involved where we are likely to be launching in the within 3-4 months. So
that's really exciting. I can't wait to hear about these charities.
So many.
Thank you everyone for joining us and watching this incredible panel of discussion here, talking about Electroneum again and all of this information, this smorgasbord of information that you just listened to. And I'm the Truthful Rob.
And we love you.
I was waiting for you guys to go. I'm Mike. I'm